rock and roll.
Don't be shy. Don't piss me off. And whatever you do, stand back because we're going to blow your fucking nuts off if you got any.
Not only did you have an incredibly heavy sound, but Tad was kind of an icon of heaviness, and visually lent another level of intensity to the music.
Just this giant dude with a full beard, reflecto shades, some kind of crazy trucker hat, an Ed Gein t-shirt, and he looked like somebody, he looked like a trucker or like some kind of scary serial killer. And, Kurt Danielson looked exactly the same, like just as scary. He looked like some kind of crazy redneck lumberjack or something. And they just looked dangerous, and there was nothing cute about them. They were really, really scary looking band.
I hope I didn't offend any of you college yuppie types. The kind that your mother says your turnip turns into a casserole at midnight. Your cherry turns into a pumpkin at 1. And you better not go home with Bill or I'm going to spank your butt.
In reality, he was so different from the character that was being concocted.
I mean, I remember going out, taking some pictures on the set of their Wood Goblins video, and I had to show Tad how to, start up the chainsaw. We all knew that that's not really Tad, who Tad is. But of course, the label and the band to a degree, wanted to play that up.
I think the guys in Sub Pop thought this was cute. It pissed me off. In all the interviews we did for that year or afterwards, I would always make a point, the band, Soundgarden, make a point of saying, this guy is like brilliant, and he's like smart as hell, and the whole fucking band is smart as hell. But the initial the initial single had like on the label Tad scrawling, with like backward letters. Hi, my name is Tad. Trying to market this sort of folky, savant sort of character, kind of retarded, huge monster of a man who somehow makes this beautiful music. People give too much emphasis on the personal story, which is important with folk artists and in popular culture, but ultimately, does the work stand on its own? Is it beautiful?
We definitely wanted to be exploited. There was no question about it. And we didn't have many scruples about how it was done, so long as it succeeded. Later, perhaps, we had some regrets that we were boxed into this grunge category. And not only that we were always being referred to as this band that was headed by a 300-pound ex-butcher, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And we felt like that people came to see us for those reasons instead of the fact that we had songs that were worth listening to.
I think a lot of the bands, Nirvana, and to a lesser degree Tad, sort of resented it. It's hype, and that hype, I've got to say, helped propel all of the bands. It's by no means solely responsible. I think as the years went by, he came to appreciate, that there's a certain artistry in the creation of the mythology.
This is Hate number 17 is where he appeared. And at the time, the TV show The Simpsons started having a lot of celebrity guest stars. So I thought it'd be funny, since I just did this lowly, cruddy comic book, to do the same, to have a celebrity guest star. So I wrote Tad into this one story. And the idea behind it was the main character in the comic, in Hate, Buddy Bradley, he had this friend named Stinky. And Stinky's the type of guy that, even though the average person never heard of Tad, to Stinky that would be like meeting a god. It's like, oh my God, it's Tad, I can't believe it. And the other thing that was very funny is because Tad used to have this reputation of being a wild guy or a party animal, a lot of people, like younger people, would always say, I want to party with Tad. that'd be a phrase that I used to hear a lot. Or like people would always ask me, did you party with Tad? I hear it's awesome to party with Tad. I want to party with Tad. And so I thought it'd be funny to have this character Stinky meet him and say, we're going to party with Tad. So that's how that came about. And of course, as soon as the comic came out, more people than not said, who the hell is Tad?
It's Tad. And it's totally heavy. Tad. Available at awesome record stores near you on Sub Pop.
The first official Tad release on Sub Pop was the the album called God's Balls.
And we thought it was, cocky enough too, and, somewhat shocking.
The band really had a great sense of humor. I remember Tad coming in and going, this is the heaviest album title we could come up with, was God's Balls. It was just...
Kurt Danielson had a porno video that he saw, and it was some priest getting a blowjob from a nun.
He would scream, God's balls!
God's balls, that feels good.
God's balls, that feels good! And I thought, God, that's a great line. And so I kept it in mind, and when we were in the studio recording, I just mentioned it to Indino.
I said, that's the title. You have to use that title.
We'd make jokes about that. We always were making jokes about porno movies, so that's where the title came from.
I know that the SGM really liked it. It was a Seattle gay newspaper. They really liked it.
I believe that John was there for this particular session, and I remember seeing him in the control room banging his head. So I was really pleased to see a friend getting into the music.
Kurt had really good lyrics, and we had good ideas that we wanted to hammer just a riff, and have a groove to it too. That was our main thing. I think that's really what set us apart from a lot of bands.
The rest of the Sub Pop crowd was all about the keep it simple, keep it basic, keep it rockin' sort of thing. And Tad's thing was always to try and go a little further. Let's play around with melody, experiment with arrangements, and still keep it brutal.
Kurt and I, when we started playing together, we decided that we wanted to be as low and nasty. We were going for the brown note, And we used to make jokes about that, like, what happened to your concert last night? Well, 3 people shit their pants.
And here we were working together as a band after meeting only 2 weeks before and having only practiced a few times, and boom, the stuff just came out.
Bruce Pavitt just really wanted to feature Tad and, his sort of almost like a mugshot kind of thing, and really play up the personality of this individual.
I remember my mom, when I showed her the record when she was still alive, she saw the picture and she saw me smiling. She goes, "Oh, you look so good." And then she saw the title and she says, "Oh, Tad, how could you? Why? Why did you name the record that?" And it was disappointing for her. But then she'd go back and like, "Well, you're smiling. That looks good. That's nice. Nice boy."
This is Tad.
There was always a really great crowd reaction at Tad gigs. I think Tad was really good at working up the audience. Actually, some of the best photos I got were of Kurt, the bass player. And he's actually featured in my book, Touch Me I'm Sick. There's a double-page spread, one where he's